I've always said that if you want to see your life in 10 years and what it's going to look like, it's going to be dependent upon two things. It's going to be depending on the people you hang out with and the books you read. So I try to surround myself with people who elevate me, people who elevate my thinking, people who make me feel good, people who are positive, people who are energized, people who want a bigger, better future. And then I read things, not just self-help books, but very few of those, quite frankly. I read a lot of fiction and a lot of nonfiction, history, to elevate my thought process so that over those 10-year period of time, my life gets elevated by the people I hang out with and the books I read. And then you start to think about, do you visualize what your life's going to look like? I remember with an organization, one of the things I've only shared with a few people before, but I remember when I very first started in the business, and I went to this big conference, and there was thousands and thousands of people here, and somebody was elected president of this organization, and I remember going back to my hotel room that night. I probably, the next week in my calendar, I probably had lunch and a haircut scheduled. But I went back to my hotel room. I remember it was in Keystone, Arizona. I came back from that conference in 1987. I remember the day. And I wrote the speech that I would give when I became elected president of that organization. I got to give that speech in 2000, 13 years later. But the draft I wrote in 1987, I didn't have kids at the time. I wasn't married at the time. There were some pieces that got filled in. But literally 95% of that speech that I wrote that night in 1987 in my hotel room in Keystone, Colorado. I visualized what I thought the future would look like and then made it real. First you got to think about it. First you got to visualize it and think about what it is. And then you've got to put a plan and not just hope it happens, but then put a plan in place to make that happen. It was a seminal moment for me because in everything in my life, I had been able to visualize it first before it happened. It made it real. Once I thought about it, then I visualized it, then I made it happen, made it real. And it's just something that's worked for me and something I'd love to talk to you more about. Mark B. Murphy. Have a great day.